Good afternoon, Anne.
Good afternoon, James.
And good afternoon, everybody. So, if you are listening and it's Sunday morning, welcome and thank you. We have a special edition this week. We are in Scarborough, aren't we, Anne?
Yes.
And we are with a live audience. Now, as you are listening now, we are Saturday afternoon. Would you like to say hello, everybody?
Hello.
I don't think they quite heard you at the back. Would you like to say hello, everybody? Hello. Oh, brilliant. So there you go. That is our audience today. So this is a very exciting, special podcast, isn't it, Anne?
Yes.
Are you happy to begin?
I am happy to begin.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay, well, where would you like to start this afternoon, this morning, then?
It's a little bit different this afternoon because normally I just go with what's in my own head.
Right.
And as always, I never know what I'm going to start with. But today we have asked the audience to give us an idea of things that bother them at this time. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Not what they actually said, but what I feel about the things that they've written about.
Okay.
And one of the first ones was from John, who he is the same generation or very close to my generation. So what he's asked is, he's asked about growing up in the 1940s, 50s.
Okay.
So I can talk about that, whereas, lots of people can't talk about 1940.
Are you saying you and John are old?
I'm saying John and I are very young.
Vintage.
Yes,
Yes.
we're very young vintage, but very pure vintage.
John's here. Handsome John is here on the front row.
John. Right, that's correct, yes.
Absolutely.
And what he's saying, which is very, very true,
Yes.
he's saying that boys were told to show an upper lip.
Right.
In our generation.
A stiff upper lip.
A very stiff upper lip.
Right.
Don't cry. And the other thing was, don't be a girl.
Right, okay.
Now, I know that some of the ladies in the audience will think, oh, why did they say that? Why don't be a girl? Because obviously girls are much tougher than boys. I'm saying that. The girls are the toughest. So, yes. And he's also saying that he always knew his parents loved him.
Yes.
But they weren't tactile.
Right.
Now, I can say the same about my parents, because I never ever saw my parents hold hands or kiss each other.
Right, okay.
They never showed any tenderness really to each other. And I don't think they did to my brother and I.
Right, okay.
But love.
So it was a very different generation.
It was a different generation, but I knew they loved me. I absolutely 100% knew I was loved. All my life I've known I was loved. So my thoughts on this is, can there be too much, demonstrations between people of, like children outside schools? Love you. I hear that a lot. Has the meaning gone out of it, or is it just an emotion, a feeling?
We've spoken about this before, haven't we?
Mm.
A few podcasts ago, and I think you raised a similar point.
Yes.
So is John asking about the change in how males deal with emotion? Is that what you feel it's about?
Well, what he actually says, he knew his parents loved him. It wasn't the thing to show it, but is it no different? Is it so different today?
Right, okay.
Well, I feel it is different today, because today, it's spoken about a lot, but it's not spoken with the same meaning. What I'm trying to say is,
yes,
is love just a felt emotion?
Right.
Or is it do you have to demonstrate it, or do you feel it?
It's a good question. I sense between what John has talked about in his question this morning, what you've talked about, John, Saturday afternoon, and what you are thinking about in this moment,
yes,
is that it shifted from it not being spoken about, but tangibly felt. So there was a presence of feeling loved,
yes,
to being spoken about a lot, but it's lost its feeling. So it's transitioned from it being inner in terms of a knowing, a feeling, to being part of our conversations. And it's part of our conversation again this afternoon. So yes, I do think it has shifted away from the depth, the anchor of it being true. Now, obviously, not everybody in the 1950s and the 1940s will have felt loved.
No.
And not every child today says it a lot, but isn't felt in terms of felt loved. So it isn't true for everybody listening. It's not true in every single situation. But I do think we spend too much time, which is a bit of a slight paradox with our conversation this afternoon. I do think there's far too much emphasis on talking about feelings rather than feeling feelings and putting them into action.
Yeah.
And those actions don't have to be demonstrable. They don't have to be grandiose. They don't have to be these huge demonstrations for show. They can be very small, and they don't even have to be witnessed, I don't feel, by anybody for them to have meaning. And quite often the understated, the genuine is simple.
Yes, I agree. But a following question this is being asked today is about rage. So really, it goes hand in hand, doesn't it? The question is increasing rage that seems to be apparent in rage in people. And where does it come from? And what can we do to tackle it? This is what the question is. For me, that rage that people feel, it's so pent up. I look at people nowadays and I see in many situations, I see underneath, people may be talking, but underneath, you can see this red, it's like a red fire inside people sometimes. Because we're in an age now where people are saying, I love you, and yet they're not being honest in other.
So passive aggression.
Passive aggression, yes. So many people are not honest. This is where truth comes in.
I think, to be honest, well, hopefully to be honest, yeah, most people aren't honest now, most of the time. And it isn't always nasty or deliberately deceptive. I think most people are not wanting to upset anybody or hurt other people's feelings. So quite often, and I have said this before, it could be something rather trivial about, or did you watch the film I recommended? What did you think? Oh, yeah, I liked it, but they didn't like it. Or, did you read the book? Yeah, I've read it, and they haven't read it. Or, do you like these shoes? Yeah, you look lovely, but they don't, to that person, look lovely. Of course, this has to be contextual, I feel, and I'm not suggesting for any, for anybody listening at all, encouraging anybody to be unkind. But we're not being honest with ourselves, really, because if really what we're doing is we're lying to ourselves all day. If we're saying we like things that we don't like, that we're okay with things that we're not okay with, or vice versa, it's not really giving the opportunity for greater honesty to come to the fore. Because if we can't be honest with somebody and say, to be honest, those shoes don't suit you as much as the other ones. Now, if you feel great in those shoes, you wear those shoes. But if you want my honest feelings, I don't think those shoes look as good as the other pair. Thank you for recommending the book. I haven't read it. And I don't think I am, because I've read the blurb and I don't feel it's for me. But I really appreciate you thinking of me. And if you have any other books, I'd be more than happy to read those, potentially. But that book's just not for me. Or, I did watch the film, it was rubbish. And I can't understand why you found it funny. Your sense of humour is odd. I'm not sure that we can be friends anymore. I'm jesting a little bit with that one. But I feel that it isn't always about where we start in terms of the huge moments in our life, the huge relationships in our life, where the major problem is. I think on an everyday level, most people are smiling and they're saying they love things that they don't love, they like things that they don't like, and most of it's that. Most of the time. Not in every situation, of course, but most of the time.
Yes, you can't go up to somebody and say that.
Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, but we can't just say that pimple on your nose looks really bad, can we?
No, that's what, obviously not. Well, that is honest. I'm not suggesting, to be clear, that anybody be deliberately unkind. That's not what I'm saying at all.
You're not saying that.
But I do think there is room for honesty and kindness, and I don't think honesty has any value and kindness has any value if it's separated from each other. So if you're being kind but not honest, is that really being kind? So
no, it's not being kind. I think when even if somebody comes and they've got something on and they do look awful in something.
Well, you've taken it to an extreme now.
Yeah, no, but if somebody does, would you be fair to just say you look beautiful and let them go out like that? That's the point.
With their dress tucked into their knickers or something. Yeah.
No, you won't be doing that.
No.
So it really is. It's a personal thing, isn't it? We go back to love. It's a very personal thing, love, for me.
Yes.
Who we love.
So you're talking about a human relationship in terms of love.
Yeah, because it is emotions, whether it's rage or whether it's love. And love should be very personal between two people who are in love. There's many aspects of love.
So you're talking about romantic love?
Romantic love, yeah.
Right.
But yes, these. We've been watching EastEnders, haven't we? And in the EastEnders, there's a young 14-year-old girl who is pregnant.
Right.
This girl is pregnant, and the grandmother in the whatever it is wanting to take over that child. Ivani, yeah.
Ivani, I think she's 16.
Yeah, and the grandmother is saying you should have it. You should have the child.
Right.
And the girl is saying, I don't want to have it, but she's persuaded her to have the child and she will bring her up. But nobody has thought about emotions there. So emotions...
You mean in terms of the script writers or the audience?
Script writers, well, people don't, within families even. We're quick to judge, we're quick to give advice. But sometimes when we're talking about emotions, we're not dealing with them ourselves very often.
True.
So...
We very rarely feel one thing at one time, don't we?
Yes.
I think that's part of, whether it's the questions or answers, we're all oversimplifying it. I'm oversimplifying it because whether it be what could be described as rage or words such as tactile or loved or any word that could be directly linked to an emotion or secondary linked to an emotion, we rarely feel definitively one word feeling at a time.
No.
And quite often, if we're honest with ourselves, we can feel conflicting emotions, and quite often we'll talk about them in pairs. So we might feel scared and excited at the same time. It could be we're in Scarborough this weekend. We haven't had chance yet to get most of you on the waltzers or on some of those rides. Christine's looking at me eager. Yeah. But we've made a promise that we'll get most of you on the rides and we'll have a really good time. Bernadette's keen, aren't you, Bernadette? There we go, to get on the rides. But it's possible, and probably likely in most cases, that most of us would feel scared and excited at the same time. That would be the same if you went...
On the caterpillar.
Your caterpillar ride,
caterpillar.
which wasn't a caterpillar ride. It was one of those really fairground rides that went super fast. Never mind, you're waiting to meet somebody for a first date.
Yes.
And that could be the most terrifying, exciting experience of your life.
Yes.
A job interview, and it's a job that you really want. And you're also in a waiting room with other people, and they've just gone in and they've come out, and it's your turn to go in for the interview. That's really terrifying, but also really exciting. And you also are hopeful.
Yes.
You also are feeling confident, but nervous. So life's a paradox. It's full of contradictions. The person that we love the most can hurt us the most often as well. And the person that we can tell our most vulnerable secrets or share our most valued and treasured experiences with are often the person that we can feel most irritated with in the next moment. So life really is a paradox. I can't think of a better word to describe than that. So these questions are really important, and our answers aren't able to do them justice, really. And love, in that context, taking it with the complexity of life, I always find it confusing And maybe some of the audience will have direct experience of this. Don't worry, I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. And many of you listening Sunday morning and through the week will have first-hand experience of this, that the person that you love the most in the world for a time, and hopefully those times are staying with you, turned into your worst enemy. And we see this. I was speaking with some friends here in the Scarborough this weekend about marriage, and then marriage that turns into divorce. How can people that were so close, that were allies in life, that maybe share children together and have some of the most treasured and wonderful memories in life, and brought forth new life, and I've no doubt can be, in another context, friends maybe, yet in a sense went to war with each other. And this could be through a divorce or a breakup or both. And in many cases, and hopefully not in your case this morning listening, but in lots of cases, hate each other or would use words like that. So that shows how even people that make the biggest commitments to each other can turn on each other. It's a paradox.
Maybe that goes back to childhood and our own experiences. But what you were talking about before is your, going on a date with somebody, or your first date.
Right.
Is when I was about 14, a boy asked me, remember I left school at 15, I was due to leave school, and a young man in the pub, because my dad had a pub, asked me to go to the cinema with him. And I remember nobody's name, but I do remember Dennis Bell's name, and I'm 14. And I went to the pictures with him, and that in those days, the pictures changed on a Thursday. So we'd gone at the weekend, and he said, do you want to go to the cinema back? Do you want to come back to the pictures with me on Thursday? So I said, oh yes, all right. Thursday comes, and I'm sat up in the flat where we had at the pub. And my dad said, I thought you were going out with Dennis Bell today. And I said, I was, I don't want to go. I don't like him, I don't want to go. And my dad said, well, you've got a choice, Anne. You can either go down and tell him that, but don't tell him you don't like him. Just tell him you don't want to go. He said, or you can avoid him for the rest of your life.
Wow.
So
How true is that?
He said, that's up to you what you do. And I can remember slamming out of the house.
Yes.
And going and meeting him and standing in front of him and saying, I don't want to go. And he went, okay, because we were both only about, he was 18, I think.
Right.
I was about 14.
Okay.
And he said, okay, that's all right. And I went home, and my dad said, was that hard? And I said, it wasn't until I got there.
Right.
And he said, but now you can, every time you see him, you can say hello to him.
That's very true.
And it's true. So is it our, basic knowledge comes from childhood, from our families. So sometimes maybe we don't have that stability as a tiny child.
I think that unfortunately is true now in most cases. And also, I do agree in essence with what you're saying, Anne, but to pick up upon what your story that you just shared, hypothetically, if you hadn't faced
Dennis Bell.
Yeah. Sorry, Dennis.
I hope he's not listening.
Yeah. Hey, he might be living happily ever after, Anne. Saying few.
He'll be nearly 90 if he is.
Yeah. Would you have gone on to face other challenges in your life? Because it would have set a precedent, wouldn't it?
Yes, exactly.
This is all hypothetical. But if you weren't prepared to face something that you didn't want to do then, would that then have set in as a pattern that when other instances arose in your life, potentially, that you would have been already in the pattern of not facing things?
Absolutely.
And therefore always ducking, always retracting, or always looking for a different way out, the easy way out. So the short-term pain, the short-term difficulty led to letting it go, whereas short-term avoidance leads to long-term problem.
Yes.
I think most people would generally agree with that.
And that's what he was teaching me. But fortunately, I had very wise parents. So everybody doesn't have that, do they?
Unfortunately,
and
not.
The sad thing is, we can all look at somebody's life, anybody's life, and make a presumption of what's happening in that person's life or how they're reacting. But we've never been in their lives. And there's a lot of presumptions in this life made.
Absolutely. We all are experiencing things, feelings, experiences, everything, to be honest with you, life, in a way that other people can't feel. But they're experiencing, you're experiencing, I'm experiencing, everybody listening in this room is experiencing, and all of you listening this morning are experiencing life in a way that's subjective and unique to you.
Yes.
We can all empathise and have a deep compassion and be able to relate in many ways, but it will never touch the depths that we feel. Words will always be insufficient. Our personal experiences are so profound to us, it's impossible for anybody else to directly know what we feel. But that's true for everybody else. And therefore we never know what anybody else is going through, what's led to that moment, what's happened to them on that day, what was happening to them an hour ago, what was happening to us an hour ago. We only see where somebody's at in the moment. There shouldn't be any excuse for certain things in life. I'm not making an excuse for many things in life that need to change. But one of the things that we can bring is to recognise that human beings, all of us, are not simple creatures. We're complex, we're deep, and that's completely insufficient in covering what it is to be human. The inner landscape knows no bounds. The depths have no end. Feelings can run and run and run and run and run. And we're all experiencing that, and we all expect maybe too much from each other in the short term.
Yes, and we learn a lot, don't we? I'm talking about my parents, but
Yes.
there's many, many people who have taught me along my path and taught me in very basic ways. When I changed careers and did orthodontics, the man that I was working with and for,
Yes.
I would have one chair, he would have another chair in the surgery, and we had our own patients.
So this was when you were an orthodontist?
An orthodontist,
orthodontist,
yes.
Stephen.
And
yes.
he would have his patients, I would have NHS, he was doing private, I was doing NHS here.
Okay.
And we were in the same room.
Yes.
And he had a nurse helping him, I had a nurse helping me. And he would fly off the handle. And all of a sudden, I heard him say, what are you doing? And the young lady, the young nurse, said to him, I presume that's what you wanted. And he really shouted, and patients and everybody could hear him. And he said, I don't pay you to presume.
Right.
And I talk about presumptions. I never pay you to presume.
Okay.
So, and I'm sort of sat with another patient here. And then he said to her, I don't pay you to presume because that instrument that you've just given me would have ruined this child's mouth.
Right.
So sometimes we it taught me that we can look at somebody's rage and think you've got no right to be doing that.
Right.
So he was thinking of the child in the chair and telling her she must never do it.
Yes. I mean, obviously I wasn't there and you
No.
were. I'm not sure that I would describe that instance as rage. Maybe it was, you were there.
I was there.
Well, maybe it was then.
Yeah, it
maybe.
was rage.
Right, okay. my bad. Yeah, but you're right. We never know the reasons behind it, do we?
No, we don't know. And one other thing that
Yes.
you did teach me was that another time a nurse came in, she had her hands in her pockets.
Yes.
Now, I'd already done nursing training at this time. She had her hands in her pockets, and he said, get your hand out of the pockets. Don't let me ever see you with your hands in the pockets again. As she stood there. And I see many nurses, and I have seen many nurses and many people over time with their hands in the pockets. He said, what have you had in your pockets? You've had money in your pockets, you had tissues in your pocket, and you're putting that in that child's mouth.
Yes.
So again, it's learning from other people. We've got to be open-minded, haven't we?
Yes.
We should be listening.
Yes.
Probably listening more than talking
Yes.
in a lot of cases.
We say talking a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, talking a lot now.
I agree. I do agree with what
Yes.
you're saying, yes.
So yes. So just to finish with one question, and this is a difficult one in a bit. How does having faith influence our ability to cope effectively with anxiety and sadness?
So this is another question from our
Another
audience.
questions from our audience, yeah.
It's a good question, whoever's asked this question. Well, they're all good questions.
Yeah. Faith. faith to me is important.
Yes.
It's faith in everything to me is important. We've got to have faith in life. I mean, we could talk about faith in God, but I'm talking about faith in life at this time. Without faith, I don't think we have any life. Because trauma will come into all our lives. We'll be anxious, we'll be sad, as it says here.
Well, faith, I agree. And we could probably, more than likely, maybe this question could lead to a podcast in and of itself around faith and faith in our lives and in different ways. So maybe this is a good place soon to end, but also to pick up upon next time or again very soon in a podcast. Because it's such a vast topic and it's so meaningful. It's difficult to be able to do any kind of justice in a minute or so. But what I do feel is important, that if we haven't got faith, we're not able to have any type of synced up progression where we can't start to move our awareness, our lives, into what we perceive to be the future. And it is a perception, because it takes something very simple like farming or the growing of vegetables, even if it's somebody you listening or anybody in the room, anybody at all, to be honest with you, that maybe is growing something in your garden or your greenhouse, or a farmer in a field. If there isn't faith in that the right environment is going to cultivate and grow whatever it is, then you won't return. The fact that you return to harvest your potatoes or whatever it might be shows that you have faith that they will be there. I know that's a very simplistic example, and it isn't linked to anything that is non-physical, and I'm doing that on purpose because faith is part of our life all of the time. We return to something because we have faith that the rain and the soil and the sunlight and our tending to it, or your tending to it, however it may be, has achieved a certain outcome. That outcome has produced life. That life can be harvested. That life can be reaped. That life can be grown. That life can be shared. That life can be enjoyed. If we haven't got faith, why would we return? Why would we return to pick those apples or to harvest those potatoes? In very simple terms. So faith, sometimes people turn off when they hear words like faith. Oh, I'm not interested in anything like that. Everybody's interested in that. When you turn up to the bus stop in the morning, you have faith that the bus driver is going to turn up. Because otherwise, why are you stood at the bus stop? Someone can say, well, you believe that buses are going to turn up out of nowhere. There's no bus here. And you'll say, well, you're right, I've been stood here 3 hours and there's not one. And then 3 turn up all at once. But if we don't have faith, even in that simplistic term, that a bus driver is going to turn up and pick you up, and when the bus driver does turn up, the bus driver is going to stop at the stop if you put your hand out, and the doors will open and you can enter the bus. Very, very simple. But that's an act of faith. Our acts of faith shape our life every single day. And if we don't have that at all, if we don't have trust that's underpinning all of that, nothing in life moves, nothing in life grows. There is no life, to be honest with you. No life at all.
Well, I'm going to, as we're finishing, because it's time to finish now, I'm going to leave it opening a can of worms, to be honest. Because many people say to me, do I believe in reincarnation? Do you think there's such a thing? And I will always say, look at the trees, they're leaving the leaves now. All the leaves are going now, and they will be bare. And that same tree will bear fruit next year.
Right.
And the daffodil will grow. The same daffodil will grow.
Yes.
Maybe slightly different.
Yes.
So there is such a thing as reincarnation.
Well, we definitely don't have time in 30 seconds to open that one up. But I agree with you. It is a fascinating topic. So we have faith, reincarnation, and other questions. And anybody listening this morning or through the week, if you'd like to send in any comments or questions, we will endeavour to pick them all up and speak about them in the coming weeks, months ahead.
Good.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Well, what's it?
I'm bye.
You do make me laugh. Thank you, everybody in the room, for listening. Would you like to say goodbye, everybody? Bye. Have you enjoyed listening? Yes. Thank you very, very much. And thank you all for listening this morning. And as always, we look forward to being with you and speaking with you again next Sunday morning.
Yes, we do.
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.